From PRX, it's... This week, podcaster Sam Sanders.
10 years ago when I began podcasting, you were just up against other podcasters. And now I have to compete with short-form ASMR rug deep cleaning videos.
Filmmaker Sandi DuBowski.
Queer people change people. You know, that's what we do. Like, we come from that place of the margin and we have power.
With music from The Lowest Pair and our fabulous house band. I'm your announcer, Elena Passarello, and now, the host of Livewire, Luke Burbank.
Thank you so much, Elena Passarello. Thanks to everyone for tuning in from all over the United States of America. We have a really fun, informative show for you this week. But of course, we got to kick things off like we always do with the best news we heard all week. This is our little reminder that there is, in fact, good news happening out there in the world. You just have to look for it. Also, sometimes you have to play hurt, as they say. You have to broadcast through feeling a little under the weather, which is what Elena Passarello is doing this week. Thank you. Thank you for your commitment to the Livewire project. What is the best news that you heard all week?
I mean, it might be because I'm all hopped up on cold medicine, but I cannot tell this story without bursting into tears. So just be forewarned. It's just sweet.
Okay.
It's a happy, sweet story. And it's in one of my favorite states in the Union, Louisiana. It involves a guy named Kent Broussard, who is a 66-year-old, I think, Louisiana native, definitely grew up in close proximity to Tiger Stadium.
Oh, sure, where LSU plays.
That's right. Went to LSU games ever since he was a little kid. Loved the pageantry, especially loved the band. Was a musician, played the tuba and the sousaphone in school, and ended up going to Southeast Louisiana University, which does not have a marching band, but he played in like the symphonic band, got 2 degrees, became an accountant, retired in his early 60s, seems to have done very well for himself. So when he retired in 2023, he decided to take a long journey to make himself eligible to play in the LSU Tiger Band. It was not an easy task. He's doing yard work in a weighted vest. He's running 20 miles a week. He's getting swole. He's working with a music teacher who's teaching him not just how to play the tuba and the sousaphone again, because he had to relearn how to read music and all that, but how to march with a musical instrument. This is 5 years of work. And then, of course, his long-suffering wife was like, and then he practiced the tuba, marching up and down the neighborhood, and the neighbors were sort of into it. Everyone was so supportive, though. His own daughter got in touch with the band program at LSU to see if there was a pathway in to him to be able to audition, and there was. So at 66 years old, Ken Broussard enrolled as a non-traditional freshman at LSU, taking classes, 12 credits, and went to the whole summer band camp gauntlet training. And a couple of weeks ago, they announced, which folks made the cut and were going to be starting members of the band, and he made it.
Unbelievable.
I know! And on September 6th, in the game against Louisiana Tech, he hit the field as the oldest member of the Golden Band from Tigerland on the tuba. He was rocking the Jumbotron. People were weeping.
I haven't thought about that, but you're absolutely right. Like, you see those clips of the football players hitting the tackling sled and sweating out pure Gatorade, and you do not think about the marching band folks that are going through something that's arguably as physically challenging in the same, weather situation, and to be doing all of that at the age that our guy was doing it at. That is truly incredible.
In double knit polyester while holding like a 70-pound instrument. I don't know how much it weighs. But I just want to close on a great quote that Kent said. He said, you know what? People retire, but dreams don't. So he made it happen, and the whole world is proud of him.
The best news that I heard all week is also an example of some incredible, I guess you could say, physical fitness. It involves a woman named Brooke Johnson. Now, Brooke Johnson was very close in life with her stepfather, a guy named Roger. And Roger, unfortunately, a few years ago was involved in an accident where he had part of his spine was broken and he lost his mobility. He was in a wheelchair. And Brooke is apparently really into skateboarding. And she had always talked with her stepdad, Roger, about this idea of trying to skateboard across America. And the idea at the time was that they were going to have Roger in some kind of a wheelchair or a wheeled device, and she was going to skateboard and he was going to wheel, and they were going to kind of go across the country. Interestingly enough, Roger seemed more confident about this whole situation than Brooke did. She was like, she said, apparently she kept saying, Roger, it's a really big country.
She's not wrong.
Understatement of the year. And then Roger was like, yeah, you can do it. Well, unfortunately, Roger ended up passing away, but this dream of Brooke skateboarding across America, by the way, becoming the first woman to ever do this, did not die. In fact, Roger's passing only kind of increased her motivation to do this. And so not that long ago, she set out. She started off in Santa Monica, California, and the plan was to skateboard all the way across the country, 3,226 miles. And I was watching this unfold kind of in real time on TikTok. What you don't understand about skateboarding across America, as Brooke Johnson did, is how much of America is uphill. And then you watch somebody out there skateboarding up a mountain pass in like the Southwest somewhere. And I was seriously like watching this Brooke Johnson do this project. And I just thought, give up. You cannot do this. This is way too much for one person to try to do. She did not give up, Elena. In fact, she raised all of this money for this foundation that helps people who have sustained spinal injuries. She raised like over $50,000 for this project. She also had this incredible moment. This is like something out of a movie where she was somewhere in, I think, about the middle of the country, and it was a particularly rough day. The weather was terrible. It was mountainous. And you know, people do this from time to time. If you have somebody in your life that's passed away, you maybe have voicemail messages from them or other kind of digital ephemera. And like when she was at her closest to giving up, she randomly finds this voicemail from Roger that says, everything's going to be fine. We can get through this. And she listens to this voicemail message on the day that she was her closest to giving up. And of course, she didn't give up. She pushed on through, made it all the way out to Virginia Beach, Virginia. By the way, she had Roger's ashes with her on this whole journey.
He took the trip too.
He did, it turns out. And so Brooke Johnson and Roger resting in peace and doing this incredible thing and raising all this money and showing really and truly that we are incredibly powerful as human beings when we put our mind to stuff. That is the best news that I heard this week. All right, let's get to our first guest. He is an award-winning reporter, radio host, podcaster. He founded the hit NPR show It's Been a Minute. These days, he hosts the Sam Sanders Show from KCRW, as well as Vibe Check from Sirius XM. This is our conversation with Sam Sanders, who joined us live at the Alberta Rose Theater in Portland, Oregon. You are the host of the Sam Sanders Show, which you record through KCRW. And you put out this great newsletter that I love, because you always bring up these really, like, again, for a person like me who consumes a lot of pop culture, these very interesting ideas. Of course, they connect up with larger ideas as well.
You're really nice. I just call them hot takes.
But one of the things that came up on the show and in the newsletter recently was this idea that we don't have a monoculture anymore, that, like, there used to be 3 major TV networks and a finite number of shows and movies, and we sort of had to watch them and then talk about them together.
And that was it.
Yeah.
Everyone I went to school with watched The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yes.
And that's what you did, and you talked about it. And when they changed Aunt Viv from dark-skinned Aunt Viv to light-skinned Aunt Viv, we all talked about it.
Yeah.
And now you find a show. You got to see which of your friends has the same streaming app. You got to convince them to watch it. You got to say, no way, give it 3 or 4 episodes before it heats up.
Right?
Then they might watch it 6 months later, and then you've moved on. It's very hard now There's
Yeah.
like, I want more things that everyone is consuming together.
Well, the question that was posed was, if there were only 3 TV shows, what would they be? And yours were I Love Lucy,
Yeah.
the show Girls,
Yeah.
and In Living Color.
Yeah.
Why did you pick? It's a solid list.
Isn't
It's
that a
solid
good
list.
list?
That is good.
Subscribe to my newsletter for more takes like these. I'll tell you why for each one. I think the most universally palatable format of television and the one that could restore monoculture to America is the sitcom. Mm-hmm. Sitcom is the best kind of TV because it doesn't matter if you know what the hell is going on. You can just start watching. Mm-hmm. Like I tell folks, the backstory to The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is the theme song.
Yeah.
And then you're in it.
Yeah.
So if for me, sitcoms are the pinnacle of monoculture television, the pinnacle of sitcom is probably I Love Lucy. Because come on.
Yeah.
So that's one. And then 2, I picked Girls because more than any show that I've watched in the last 15 years, all of them were in on the joke. They knew they were awful. They knew the characters were awful. And they committed to the bit for 6 seasons. And they were so good at committing, you still think they're awful in real life. Don't you? They're not.
I'm wishing good things for Hannah.
Yes.
You know?
Always, always. But like you remember that first pilot episode of Girls on HBO. Lena Dunham's character, Hannah Horvath, screams either to a man or a mirror or somebody or something. She goes, "I'm the voice of a generation." She got months of bad press coverage of folks being like, how dare Lena Dunham call herself the voice of a generation? And it's like, you don't get it.
Yeah.
Right.
This is a bit. And so what I love about Girls is that, like, even in the midst of that, they didn't stop the bit.
Right.
To the very end, they were obnoxious.
That's
Yeah.
a great point.
And let's talk In Living Color.
So this is my hottest theory.
Okay.
Pop culture as we know it doesn't exist without In Living Color. You ready? Buckle up. I don't have jokes, but I got lore. The Super Bowl halftime show as we know it is a big deal. The halftime show for the biggest game in the world every year, Super Bowl halftime show, epic. For the first decade or 2 of the Super Bowl, the halftime show was like a marching band or like Disney characters dancing or whatever. And Fox realized that they had an opening to compete against the Super Bowl during the halftime show because it was so bad. And one year, they had an In Living Color halftime special. In Living Color was, think SNL, but 90s, blacker, funnier. Anywho.
Yeah, we all watched SNL and In Living Color, but we were all doing like Homie the Clown
Come
and
on.
Fire
Fire
Marshal
Marshal
Bill.
Bill.
We were all walking around
Yes.
at Hamilton Middle School the next day. We were quoting In Living Color on Monday, not quoting Saturday Night Live.
Exactly. So this is sometime in the 90s. They're like, we'll do the In Living Color halftime special to compete with the big game. The ratings for that for their special beat the actual halftime show. So the next year, who do they get for the actual halftime show? Michael Jackson.
Wow.
There's no halftime show as we know it without In Living Color. And as soon as a halftime show becomes a big deal, it changes the world of pop culture. We don't have stadium tour culture as we know it now without the big halftime show. So anywho, In Living Color explains a large part of how pop culture works right now. Also, the entire Wayans family. Put them on Mount Rushmore. I've said
Yes.
this before.
Yes.
All of them. I love them. And like what it gave us. Think about the stars that came out of In Living Color besides the Wayans. Jim Carrey, Jamie Foxx. We don't have...
J-Lo.
Oh yeah, Rosie
Fly Girl.
Perez.
Rosie Perez.
Also Fly Girl. We don't have the pop culture canon that we know and love today without that show.
I agree with that. I co-sign that take.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Good take.
We do need to take a very quick break, so let's just get that out of the way right now. This is Livewire Radio from PRX. We're talking to Sam Sanders, who also has a show distributed by PRX, The Sam Sanders Show from KCRW. Back with much more Livewire in just a moment. Welcome back to Livewire. From PRX, we are at the Alberta Rose Theater in Portland, Oregon this week. We're talking to Sam Sanders, host of The Sam Sanders Show and one of the hosts of Vibe Check. Another thing you've been talking about lately is that you think maybe we've hit peak stadium concert. Your Beyonce stuff, your Taylor Swift stuff, these big productions that were setting all kinds of records. But now, do you feel like we've kind of peaked with that?
Oh, yeah. Who in here has been to see a megawatt pop star in a stadium, at a stadium show? Okay.
They mostly go to Livewire.
Who
honestly.
in here would rather enjoy seeing that artist in a small, intimate venue? That's all I'm saying. I get into this fight so much because I'm a big Beyonce fan and I only hang out with other Beyonce fans. And I went to go see her last tour, Renaissance, 4 times.
Wow.
Twice in the UK, twice in LA. Like, I loved it. I thought it was one of the greatest live shows I've ever seen. And I think that every 25 years we get a pop star who was just there. It was Michael, and now it's Beyonce. And that's it. Like, I will not argue that point. But I had this epiphany after seeing Renaissance 4 times and just, like, having my wig blown off. I'm still bald from it, as you can see. I go to the Cowboy Carter tour, and I'm like, I've seen this. And at one point, the friend I was there with, it was his first Beyonce show, and I'm like, you're still gonna be impressed. But at one point, she starts to sing opera, because one of the songs on the album ends with her singing opera. And my friend leans over to me and he goes, Sam, I don't know if I can say this, but it's so great that she's singing opera, but I think I would rather see Beyonce sing opera in an opera hall. And I said, yeah, it's time. We did it. Pink is doing Cirque du Soleil flips.
Oh, boy.
Taylor Swift is disappearing and changing clothes every 3 minutes. Beyonce was in like an old Corvette soaring through the sky. All of them excel at these feats.
Yeah.
But I get it.
Yeah.
What I want for an artist like Beyonce or any of these big stars, like, throw it back to like Unplugged. Remember MTV Unplugged?
Sure.
Remember MTV Unplugged? My favorite MTV Unplugged is Nirvana.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because when Nirvana walks into the stage of Unplugged, they're doing the rock that they're known for. Once they do their Unplugged set, all the critics say, oh, their next iteration could be folk music. They could do this. Like, the smaller, more intimate venue opens up these artists to new musical possibilities.
Well, you know what the new version of that is sort of Tiny Desk.
But
right?
I can't go to that.
Well, I know. Listen,
I want one that I could go to.
that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. We're talking to Sam Sanders here on Livewire this week from the Sam Sanders Show from KCRW, also Vibe Check, and newly minted Tribeca Film Festival Judge Podcast Division. I saw this on Instagram. You had a personal invite from Bob De Niro.
Maybe. We'll
judge,
see.
To
Let me tell you
judge at
something.
the...
So, okay, let me set this up, because the older I get, the more I realize, given enough time, all media becomes all other media. This is just the way of the world. And because of this, the Tribeca Film Festival now has a podcast division. Bless it, fine with it, support it. Last year I was up there to do some podcast stuff with them. And this year, one of the organizers of the audio festival portion of Tribeca was like, you want to be a judge? And I made the Instagram post seem very romantic, and Robert De Niro sent me a letter. Here's how it really happened. Davey texted me. He's like, would you do this for us? And I was like, oh my God, it's unpaid labor, but I like you and whatever, fine. And he's like, okay, I'll email you the official invite, and I don't know what I did wrong, but whatever email address I told him, it kept bouncing back. So he's like, we need to send you the official whatever letter. And I was just like, bro, just send me a screen grab of the text, of the email. Send me a screen grab, because if the email's not going through, it's whatever. So my official invite letter was a text of a screen grab of an email of someone writing, Robert De Niro says thanks.
That's close enough for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess what I'm also curious about is, even when you're saying, because of course Tribeca Film Festival has a podcast category now.
Yeah.
We are podcasters, and yet I feel like the word podcaster makes me cringe
I've
so
stopped
hard.
saying it a lot.
Yeah.
For a while, I was like, they'd be like, well, people are like, what do you do? And I was like, I'm a podcaster. Now I say, I work in media. I'm a journalist.
Have we reached, much like stadium concerts, have we reached peak podcast?
You know, for the last several years, I've been getting some version of this question, which is really the question, are there too many podcasts?
And that was the core of my question.
Yeah. Listen, my answer whenever there's a question of like too much competition, this, that, it's like no one ever says, oh, there are too many books. Mm-hmm. No one ever says there's too many movies. There are too many shows on streaming. Stop.
Yeah.
Enough. But yeah, the more the merrier.
It's
And
the
I love
abundance
talking.
mindset, right?
It's right. We're in freaking video podcast land now.
Yeah.
I got to do the YouTubes, man.
Yeah.
Listen,
you do that though, and they're great.
Well, tell people to watch them.
But
It's hard though because we did not come into this industry of audio to be on camera.
Nobody saw me and so put that guy on TV.
Well, and now, as soon as you start to do it, I have a newfound respect for people who do the on-camera stuff for a living, because things that you never used to think about, all of a sudden you go to sleep at night thinking about those things. I've never thought about my eyebrows until making YouTube videos. I have a lot of eyebrow products now. And I didn't bring my eyebrow products with me, so I'm wearing glasses tonight to cover my eyebrows. This is what YouTube has done to me.
Yes. It's also, and I mean, it's all content, and I have respect for anybody making something that people want to watch, but it's weird to work on something like this where so many talented people put their creativity into this, and if we were to put this on the internet, it would absolutely not chart anywhere near someone in their car who just went on a bad date and is talking into their cell phone. Like, how do you compete with that?
Yeah. Well, and then it's like, what's wild is that like you never even know like what's going to pop.
Yes.
So we'll do the YouTube video of the show, and then the social team will pull little small clips to like put up to go on Instagram, TikTok, whatever. And I'll always be like, you need to take the most dramatic part of the conversation of me and this author who went really deep on what it means to be alive. And then that one does, yep. And then last week, though, we had a comedian who's great. Check out his YouTube special, Zach Zimmerman. He had a hot take that vampire movies can predict recessions. Right?
This was a great episode all the way through
really
with
fun.
recession indicators.
But that little minute-long chunk of him talking about that, it got like 1 million views on Instagram.
Wow.
Don't clap. We ain't getting money from it. It's not monetized. And then you're like, well, maybe this will convince people to then go to another app to watch a longer version of this video.
Right.
Please? I don't know.
For my other podcast, we were talking and we were trying to figure out some of the specific lyrics of the Flo Rida song, Apple Bottom Jeans with the Boots with the Fur. We were trying to figure out
the lyrics?
if the boots had the fur or she had the boots and she was wearing fur. And we were... and
What?
Apple
It's
Bottom
the boots
Jeans...
with the fur.
Yeah.
I was alive in that time.
Do you
So
think...
she's wearing boots and a fur.
No, not in the club.
This is
yeah,
what
you
I'm
would wear
talking
the
about.
boots with the fur.
This is what I'm talking
It's the
about.
fur-lined boots.
No one wears the fur to the club.
This was the debate. And listen, fam, we're all fam in this club.
That's right.
My point is that video on Instagram got millions and millions of views of me and this other guy who looks like me trying to figure out if it's apple bottom jeans with the boots, with the fur, or with the fur.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, how do you win in this media landscape?
And then it's like, also, you have to understand that you are now in this world of like video on your phone and short video on your phone. You're competing against everything ever made.
Yes.
Yeah.
10 years ago when I began podcasting, you were just up against other podcasters. And now I have to compete with short form ASMR rug deep cleaning videos.
Oh, man.
I watch them for hours.
So good.
I'll skip my own video to go watch some of that.
Yeah.
And I'm competing against that.
Now, I'm also a really big fan of your other show, Vibe Check.
Thank you. We have some Vibe Check listeners in the crowd. I know because they're wearing the merch. Thank y'all for being here.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm just wondering, like, because obviously you love pop culture, you love talking about it, but you have two jobs where you really, do you ever get tired of talking about pop culture? Do you ever feel like you're going to work when it's time to go talk pop culture on one of your shows?
No. It's just fun. I mean, I get paid to like watch internet, watch TV, watch movies, listen to music, read books, and then talk about them. And then half the time I can talk about them from my kitchen table. And I get to expense and have tax write-offs of every streaming subscription and every time I go to the movies and I'm so lucky. Every day I'm grateful for it.
That's the right answer. That's the right answer. Well, we are lucky that you love doing it because everything that you create is just so entertaining and thoughtful. And we really appreciate you. Sam Sanders, everybody, right here on Livewire.
Thank you all for having me.
That was Sam Sanders right here on Livewire. Check out The Sam Sanders Show and Vibe Check wherever your pods are cast. Livewire is brought to you by Powell's Books, a Portland institution since 1971. Powell's offers a selection of new and used books in stores and online at powells.com. Hey there, Livewire listeners. We are so excited to tell you that we're heading to Minnesota later this month, and we'll be recording an episode of the show at the Fine Line in Minneapolis, Friday, September 26th. We'll be joined by comedy legend Maria Bamford, as well as a surprise musical guest so cool we legally cannot tell you who it is. More information and how you can get your limited tickets over at livewireradio.org. You're tuned in to Livewire. I'm Luke Burbank with Elena Passarello. Of course, each week on the program, we like to ask the Livewire audience a question. This week, we were inspired by some of Sam Sanders' pop culture hot takes, which he's got millions of. And so, Elena, what did we ask the Livewire audience?
We wanted to know, what is the one TV show you think should be mandatory viewing for you and all your friends?
Okay. I have many answers to this question that I feel are the correct ones, but we're not here to hear my answer to the question. We're here to hear the listeners' answers. What are people saying?
Well, I like some of these, and I'm definitely adding a few of these to my list. Lisa says that everyone should watch Somebody Somewhere.
That was one of mine.
Lisa says it's because people need to learn how to be good friends, and it's a show about the love of your life being your best friend. Why do you think, Luke, everybody should watch Somebody Somewhere?
Well, it is just, I think, one of the most beautiful TV shows that's been made in the last, 10 years, starring Bridget Everett and Jeff Hiller as these friends. She's from Manhattan, Kansas. She sort of moves away to try to have a whole other life and ends up back in her hometown, and she's trying to kind of figure out what exactly her life is all about. And yeah, she strikes up this friendship, and it's just a beautiful story about family and chosen family and friendship. Do not let me corner you at a party and get on the subject of the TV show Somebody Somewhere.
Yeah, it's a wonderful show and always surprising. I love it too.
Absolutely. All right. What's another show that one of our listeners is suggesting people should definitely check out?
Okay. Eric says Andor because it's
okay.
perfect. 10 out of 10. No notes. Eric, I need you to get in touch because I have heard this from so many people. Diego Luna is in it. It's a great show. I think it costs something like $10 million an episode or something.
Holy smokes.
But every time I try to watch the pilot, I fall asleep. I've tried like three times.
Now, also, the question is, when are you watching it? Are you putting this on at 10 p.m., which for people like you and I is pretty late?
Yeah, at like 10 or 11 p.m. after I've had a cocktail, which might have something to do with it.
Yeah. My problem is I've really lost the thread on the, I guess we'll call it Star Wars universe.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm a kid named Luke who grew up in the 80s, so you can imagine I was very there for it when it was like 3 movies. But I've been hearing good things about Andor, too, so I'll check it out. Okay, one more TV show that one of our listeners thinks is mandatory viewing.
I feel like this is a hot take from Talia.
Oh.
Though people look down on it, the Real Housewives franchise should be mandatory viewing because we follow a semi-ignored demographic. Middle-aged to older women throughout the country. We see them go from housewives to businesswomen. We often see people finding their autonomy as a result of the success of the show.
Yeah. You'd be shocked at how many people I know who are, respected writers and thinkers and people who are held in high esteem who will tell me, and this is not even a quote-unquote guilty pleasure. They'll just say, no, some of the best television out there are these these Real Housewife shows.
What I hear is that Salt Lake is like can't miss.
I met one of the Salt Lake City Real Housewives recently when I was in Salt Lake City.
Did she throw a drink at you?
She didn't. She was incredibly nice, which was really kind of off-brand. She was very kind. We were there doing Wait, Don't Tell Me, and she was the special guest. And she was a big fan of public radio and very, very nice to be around. And again, I felt like I wasn't getting the full housewife experience, but it was still pretty cool.
That's awesome.
All right. Thank you to everyone who submitted an answer to our audience question this week. This is Livewire. Our next guest is a filmmaker whose latest documentary took 21 years to complete. It's called Sabbath Queen, and it follows the life of Rabbi Amichai Lau-Lavie, who is a descendant in a line of 38 Orthodox rabbis, but he has kind of gone his own way. He founded this experimental congregation, which he describes as God optional. He expresses himself through drag, and he chooses to officiate weddings of Jews and non-Jews, which in his world is a very, very big deal, it turns out. Filmmaker Sandi DuBowski joined us for a special conversation after we screened the movie earlier this year. This was at Pam Cutts Tomorrow Theater in Portland, Oregon. Take a listen to this.
Sandi DuBowski, welcome to Livewire.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the subject of the film, the Rabbi Amichai Lau-Lavie. What was it about him that first caught your attention?
So I did a film called Trembling Before God, which was about Hasidic and Orthodox Jews that are lesbian or gay. Okay. So I went to Jerusalem in the late 90s and was looking for people to be in the film. And everyone kept saying, well, the chief rabbi of Israel's nephew is gay, you should meet him. So I asked him to be in the film, and he refused because he's too much of a diva, and he wanted his own movie. He actually said, I don't do collage.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, in all fairness, Trembling was so much about the struggle to belong within the bounds of orthodoxy, and he was already like smashing the box. But we just became friends and developed a deep trust and an intimacy. And 5 years later, we began filming.
And he comes from, like you said, a long line. Was it 38 rabbis?
38 generations of rabbis.
Generations of rabbis.
Yeah.
And how would you describe their general persuasion in terms of conservative, Orthodox? Where were they on the spectrum?
Well, I do call them the Kennedys of Judaism.
Okay.
This is in a 1,000-year dynasty. And I don't know many people who come from a dynasty, but this is a very, very traditional, quite conservative Orthodox dynasty. Amichai is the first queer one, as far as we know, to emerge from this 1,000 years.
His brother is a very well-established and well-respected rabbi on his own in Israel. And I felt like watching the film, I was witnessing him kind of go on a journey himself around his brother's humanity and his brother's queerness. Were you observing that as a filmmaker?
Well, I waited 13 years to ask the brother to be in the film. Only when he showed up at Amichai's ordination at the seminary, at a liberal seminary, which many Orthodox family members, for someone like that, would have boycotted. But he showed up. And I think there's something in this family about what does it mean to show up? What does it mean to commit to difficult dialogue? To not necessarily agree. And we're in such polarized, toxic times that act of committing to discomfort and disagreement for me is so powerful and so necessary. And so, yes. So I admire this family, the brother-to-brother relationship. They're role models for me. And there's something in there. There's some ingredient about how we stretch. What does it mean to stretch? And we need that now.
Yeah.
So it's been very inspiring.
This is Livewire Radio. We're talking to Sandi DuBowski about his film Sabbath Queen. What was your upbringing like? Where did you grow up? What was the environment?
I say that I'm from deep coastal Brooklyn, and my family made chocolate syrup. It's a family business that my grandparents, my father, and I was freed to not make chocolate syrup, but to make films. But I grew up pretty much in a kind of all Jewish neighborhood in Brooklyn. Definitely have gone on a real searching and seeking path in my own Judaism. And Amichai was a real portal, for me to kind of reimagine and how we remake tradition, how we design rituals that really fit our 21st century lives. So Amichai allowed me to grow in different ways. He actually officiated my interfaith queer wedding with my husband. But Amichai also buried my father, and he comforted my family in a year of mourning. So there's a lot of layers of relationship here of, friends, of protagonist and director, of rabbi and congregant. I mean, this is a very rare, multi-layered relationship in the filming.
It seems that the central tension of this film, it really is this question of interfaith marriage. I mean, there are a lot of questions, but that seems to be the primary one, and the one that really gets Amichai in a certain amount of hot water. A marriage between two men, them being gay men, did not seem to be the primary issue, is that one of them was not Jewish. Why do you think that is seen as such an existential threat to certain Jews?
I think it's intergenerational trauma. I think that's part of it. There were times at which that was really threatening, and there was a lot of danger and violence. And I think we're still in a very charged time right now about what are our boundaries, I think, in the world, in the US, in the Jewish world. So it feels like there's something elemental there. But the reality is that 72% of American Jews who are liberal, not Orthodox, are in love relationships with non-Jews. Like, that's not our parents' Judaism. That's not our grandparents' Judaism. That's not the Judaism of so many people I know. So there's something that is this line in the sand, but it's actually not the reality of so many people, including me.
Well, and I think it might be Amichai saying that what this now includes when you have people marrying folks who aren't Jewish is you have an expansion in a way of the world of Judaism and people who I think he describes as being Jewish,
Right.
And do you see that as an expansion
Absolutely.
of the possibility?
Yeah, I mean, we have in the film, we have, a Hindu Jewish couple, we have a Muslim Jewish couple. Like, I really believe we're in a time of sacred hybridity. We're in a time where there's so much possibilities of love. We need to lean into love. We need love to drive our world. Like, we're so fear-based right now. We need to lean into love.
Yeah.
And I mean, taking this film around the world as I have over the past 10 months and looking at the immense, beautiful creativity of Jews and those who love us, it's just astounding to me, and I'm just watching all of these incredible communities and relationships and solidarity. And, I just feel like this is a time that we should aspire to.
The issue of Gaza comes up in the film, and Amichai is very strong in his opinion that there needs to be a ceasefire. Do you have concern about that message being in the film because it might cause certain people, particularly certain Jews, to reject the idea of the film because that's such a fundamental issue for them?
So the reality is that we've had Jewish film festivals reject the movie because of, Amichai's stance and how he portrayed it in the film. He's very clear, he has pain with his Israeli family, but at the same time, he is critical, of the Israeli government and right now the occupation and the war. And so I feel like it's very honest to Amichai's stance. And we really went back and forth after October 7th to really grapple with how to tell it in the film. Because, every image and every word in this film is a minefield. So we were constantly crafting and spent 6 years really being incredibly thoughtful about every single minute of this film. So the end where we talk about Gaza is part of that. Now, I've had people come to me and say thank you for the section on Gaza because it really reflects my beliefs and my values about what we as Jews need to say right now, and what our stance should be. I do have people who come and say, I love the film, I hate the last 2 minutes. But I also have people who just now have told me, I love the film, I hate the last 2 minutes, but I'm still recommending it to all my friends. Yes. And And that means sitting in discomfort and sitting in the ability to hold the both and I think we need that.
That sounds like something that you were saying earlier in the interview you admire about Amichai's family, that they, even if they don't agree on things, they have a framework for sitting in that discomfort.
Yeah. And look, it's such an interesting family. You know, you have this gay brother who, you know, is such a renegade and so radical, but look at the effect. Look at what he's done to his Orthodox rabbi brother. You know, Amichai changed Rabbi Benny. Queer people change people. You know, that's what we do. Like, we come from that place of the margin and we have power, you know, to shape the world. And I think what's so amazing is that this just happened, but Rabbi Benny's daughter, Orly, just announced that she's going to become a rabbi. So she's the first female in this 1,000-year dynasty to step into the rabbinate. So,
Wow.
yeah. So Amichai is like, I'm old news. She's the new radical.
Yeah. Will she be part of a collage, or is she going to get her own film as well?
Sequel.
Yeah. Well, it's a really moving film. Congratulations. Sandi DuBowski, thanks for being on Livewire.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Luke.
That was Sandi DuBowski, recorded at the Tomorrow Theater in Portland, Oregon. You can check out future screenings of Sabbath Queen all across the country by going to the website sabbathqueen.com. All right, we got to take a very quick break, but stay where you are, because when we return, the bluegrass duo The Lowest Pair is going to play us a song so amazing, Elena. They once played it on repeat for 45 minutes straight. All will be explained in a moment here on Livewire. Welcome back to Livewire from PRX. I'm Luke Burbank here with Elena Passarello. Okay, before we get to this week's musical performance from The Lowest Pair, a little preview of next week's show. We are going to be talking about the 90s. Remember those, Elena? CDs, dial-up internet, Pauly Shore, Wheezin' the Juice.
Pauly Shore.
It turns out that the 90s are also the subject of Chuck Klosterman's book, which is titled The 90s. It was an instant New York Times bestseller. He deep dives into why the 90s actually really was kind of a big deal and really mattered in a lot of important ways in terms of the pop culture. We've also got a very special musical appearance from the international rock band. They're called Making Movies, which absolutely blew our live audience away, and you're going to want to hear it on the radio coming up next week here on Livewire. This, of course, is Livewire. Now, from the banks of the Mississippi to stages across North America, our musical guest this week blends clawhammer banjo with punk spirit. Folk Alley describes them as one of those duos where the music sounds like it somehow came from one body. Those bodies belong to Kendall Winter and Palmer T. Lee. They've released 7 albums together, including Horse Camp, which No Depression magazine describes as a rich soundscape that propels the modern and traditional into the future of folk music. Well, the future is now, everybody, because The Lowest Pair joined us at a special pop-up event at Kiln, this very cool co-working space in Portland, Oregon. We recorded this summer at Kiln. Take a listen.
Now, I've been told through some back channels that the first song that we're going to hear, there was an experience where you played it at a festival, a certain kind of festival.
It was a farmer's market.
Okay, it was a farmer's
A
market.
medical marijuana farmer's market.
Okay, right. And things got a little on top of you? What happened?
Well, it was one of our very first opportunities to play. Palmer was from Minnesota, and he came out to visit me in Olympia, Washington, and we got invited to play at a medical marijuana farmer's market, and there were quite a few vendors with samples.
And you were having back pain.
It's, to be polite.
Strictly medical.
Back pain. Suddenly our back started hurting.
Yeah.
Really bad.
Yeah.
And so to be polite, we sampled a bit, and then Palmer looked at me and said, I have forgotten all of our songs. And I said, I too have forgotten all of our songs. Let's get out of here.
Did you end up playing?
Well, we got to the car, and I said, well, Palmer, can you drive? And he said, I can't drive.
No, there's no way. Don't do it.
And I said, oh, I'm not driving. And so we went back, and we played this next song for like 45 minutes.
All right, we'll take the abbreviated version. This is the lowest pair here on Livewire.
I wish to the Lord that I never was born or died when I was young, pretty one, or died when I was young. Then I never would have kissed your red ruby lips or heard your lying tongue, pretty one. Heard your lying tongue, but now I fall on my knees, beg of you, please, won't you come and stand by me, pretty one, come and stand by me. You see, you told me one, then you told me two, girl. You told me 10,000 lies, pretty one. You told me 10,000 lies. Yeah, you told me more lies than there are clouds in the sky. Now you'll never get to heaven when you die, pretty one. Never to get to heaven when you die. Oh, but I fall on my knees, beg of you, please, won't you come and stand by me, pretty one, come and stand by me. And now my suitcase is packed, I ain't never coming back. And it's goodbye, little lover, I'm going, pretty one. Goodbye, little lover, I'm there's more than one. There's more than two, but there ain't no other lover like you, pretty one. No other lover like you. And so I fall on my knees, beg of you, please, won't you come and stand by me, pretty one. Come and stand by me. Come and stand by me.
That was The Lowest Pair, recorded live at Kiln in Portland, Oregon. Their latest album, Horse Camp, is available right now. And that is going to do it for this week's episode of Livewire. A huge thanks to our guests, Sam Sanders, Sandi DuBowski, and The Lowest Pair. Also, special thanks to Roger Meyer and the fine folks at Kiln and Pam Cuts Tomorrow Theater, especially Katie Jenkins and Erica Oglesby.
Laura Haddon is our executive producer. Heather D. Michelle is our executive director, and our producer and editor is Melanie Sevchenko. Azik bin Ahmad Farid is our assistant editor. Our house sound is by D. Neil Blake, and Eben Hoffer is our technical director. Support this episode comes from Nest Royster.
Theja Polikonda is our production fellow. Welcome to the show, by the way. Our house band is Ethan Fox Tucker, Sam Pinkerton, Eyal Alves, Ben Grace, and A. Walker Spring, who also composes our music. This episode was mixed by Eben Hoffer and Hazik bin Ahmad Farid.
Additional funding provided by the City of Portland's Office of Arts and Culture. Livewire was created by Robin Tenenbaum and Kate Sokolov. This week, we'd like to thank member Kalaya Bush of Eagle Creek, Oregon, and Elena Vasquez of Portland, Oregon.
For more information about our show or how you can listen to our podcast, visit livewireradio.org. I'm Luke Burbank for Elena Passarello and the whole Livewire team. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next week.